Welcome to the Play Big podcast with Coach Curtis Dean. Coach Curtis is a certified life and health coach. Coach Curtis's passion is to help everyone reach their highest potential. If you're stuck in a rut in your career, relationship, or personal growth, Coach Curtis will challenge you to play big through transformational habit change coaching. Coach Curtis will help you clarify your goals, identify your obstacles, and design strategies to overcome them. So get ready, get pumped up, and let's play big. Hey, good evening, everyone. It is Coach Curtis, the Play Big Coach. I know things look a little different tonight. I am not in the dining room with my amazing wife. She isn't feeling that great tonight, so I am holed up in my office doing this tonight. You see behind me my little logo, hashtag Play Big. That's what we want to do. I did still make sure I had my brim on, but other than that, everything's a little different tonight. So welcome. We appreciate you being here. If we need to adjust anything, we will. I know it looks kind of odd, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on over here. So anyway, hope everyone had a great Easter. Hope you all had a great time with family and friends, if that's what you did. Like I said on my post the other day, whether you celebrate from a religious point of view or whether you just hide Easter eggs and eat chocolate, I hope you had a great day. As for me, I got to see my granddaughter. She came on all the way from Missouri to surprise me. I got to have her and my newest little bundle of joy, Brinley, here with me. So that was awesome. So we definitely had a great time. I am trying to find myself on here so that I can share this with everyone. Here with me, so that was awesome. That's not going to work because now I can hear myself again. Anyway, so I like to start the show off when I'm by myself because it takes up a little bit of time, pulling an affirmation card. So the day I pulled an affirmation card, I had a coaching call with a business client because I do coach business clients as well as relationship clients, as well as people who just want to get to the next level in their life. This was a business client that I coached, and my thing with her was I pulled this affirmation card, and it says, we may have pulled this one before on the show. If we did, it's cool. There is magic to be found in stepping outside of your comfort zone. And that is so true. And the back of the card says, food for thought. What is one action that you can take today to embrace the uncomfortable? Stepping outside your comfort zone is what playing big is all about. It's what my whole life is about. It's what my coaching life is about. It's what I try to bring to folks is playing big. Being uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Sometimes you have to quit that job. Sometimes you have to ask that pretty girl out or that handsome dude out. Sometimes you have to make a decision that the things that you've been doing every day just aren't working. And when that's the case, when it's not working, you got to do something else. You got to do something on your own that, sorry, this is not working for me, that will help you to get to that next level. You have to step outside your comfort zone. 2012, when Joan and I quit our corporate job and we started our chef business and we opened a shop out in Ocala, that was stepping outside of our comfort zone. When we started doing this job, my Muggle job that I do, and a promotion became available, and I took that promotion, and that became something huge for me. And then taking the step to be a life coach and a health coach, stepping out and spending that money to go to school, money we necessarily didn't have, because I said, I'm going to make that money up in this new endeavor. And that's what we did. So there is magic to be found in stepping outside your comfort zone. Guys, if you have anything you want to share with us, please you can send us questions. You can comment. Make sure you comment, ask us questions. I'm going to have a guest on in just a few minutes. I do want to give a shout out to Choice Virtual Assistant. She has redesigned my website. If you see that really cool logo in the corner there, she helped design that logo for me. My website's about 99% done. If you log onto it now, you'll see a few little bits and pieces that need to be, fixed up, but it is well on its way. It's totally different than what it was. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's definitely me. So Choice Virtual Assistants, Deneen, we've been friends for years, and I love her to death, and she is great at what she does. If you need a new logo, a website, those kind of things, she is the person to contact. If you're interested in doing a podcast like I'm doing tonight, the person to contact is Go Black Ink. That is who does my producer, who does my show. There you go, goblackinc.com. They are amazing. She puts all this together for me. I knew I wanted to do a podcast and knew I had no idea how to do it. So she does all that for me. Real quick, I want to talk about my coaching and what I offer. You know, guys, playing big is what I talk about, but you can play big in your relationship. You can play big in your career. If you're stuck in a rut and you want to get out, if you know that on the inside of you there is something greater, but you don't know how to tap into that, you don't know how to get that, you don't know how to pull that out and get you to that next level, that's what Play Big Coaching is all about. You can take a 12-week, very intensive program, 1 hour a week, where you and I will chat either on the phone, through Zoom, through whatever you want to do, and it will change your life. I promise you. Other people have said it. If you go on my website and look at the testimonials, I've done it with other folks and they believe it. But whether your relationship has gotten stale, whether you don't have a relationship and need one, whether you are looking to boost things up, whether you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, a small business, and you need to get your business to that next level, I'm the guy to talk to. I have worked my entire life in corporate America with Fortune 500 companies. I've always been a fixer. I've always been the guy that they send in when it was the crappiest one there. They always send me in to turn it around. I can help you do that for your business, whether you're a small business entrepreneur or even bigger. And again, last but not least, that 90-day habit change coaching. If you're looking to be more than what you are right now, but you don't know how to do that, you're looking to take yourself to that next level, you're looking to get unstuck, you're looking to be the person, whether it's the husband, the wife, the parent, the brother, the sister, the father that you always knew you could be, I can help you get there. I can definitely help you get there. We can do, what we do is we start off with what we call a Play Big strategy call. It's a 1 hour call where you and I get together. You tell me what you're looking for. I tell you what I can do, and we decide whether that's going to work for us. Okay. The habit change coaching is 12 60-minute coaching sections. You get 4 extra 30-minute calls as needed during the time frame, unlimited text and emails, and then again you get a welcome gift that is basically geared towards you, welcoming you, whether it's a journal, whether it's something, what we call an anchor, you know, that'll help you remember why you got into this and what you're trying to get out of it. Okay. So without further ado, we are going to move on to our special guest. About that, she's going to put up the link later, but you can check it out at www.playbigcoach.com. Okay. We're going to bring up our special guest in just a few minutes. His name is Steve Zona. He is the president of the FOP here in Jacksonville. He's going to tell you what that means and what that's all about. But in today's climate, and you guys know I try not to get very political on any of this. I'm not politically driven in any of what I do here. This is mostly about getting help. But one of the things that I am super excited about is Jacksonville. This is a city that I love. I grew up here. I moved away in the late 70s, came back in 2014. I get my job, my careers took me all over the Eastern Seaboard. And so coming back here was wonderful, but I came back to a city that was nothing that I recognized when I left. Obviously there was growth, neighborhoods that used to be amazing were not so amazing anymore. They were troubled areas, and some of the neighborhoods that were troubled areas were suddenly revitalized and were great areas. So there's a lot going on in the city. And this guy, Steve Zona, is going to talk about that from his point of view. One of the things, I was a police explorer back in the 70s. We got to ride with different police officers, and I saw what they did every day firsthand. And even though that was, good God, back in the 70s, 30, 40 or more years ago, the job has changed a lot, but those people haven't changed. There's still people that are committed to making our city better, making our city safer. And we're going to talk about some of that tonight, what Jacksonville's all about, what we're doing for it. So if you will, bring up Steve Zona, the president of the FOP, and we're going to introduce him and talk to him for a few minutes and go from there. Steve, welcome.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored to have you here. It's great that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come and be with us and talk about policing in this day and time, talking about the city of Jacksonville and all those kind of things. Steve Zona, he's going to give us his whole pedigree in a few minutes about all the things that he's done. But the best thing I think that I can say about Steve, because Steve and I are basically, and you know, we're not trying to be anything we're not here. He and I are Facebook friends. We know each other through friends of friends, right? So when I decided to have Steve on the show, I asked someone, I said, what about Steve Zona? I want to have him on the show. What can you say about him? And this is what that person said. This person has said, the one thing I can tell you about Steve Zona is he will always come down on the side of right, even though it might be unpopular. And I don't really think there's a nicer thing that you can say about anybody other than that they'll always try to come down on the side of right, even if it's the unpopular decision. That's pretty awesome, I think. That says volumes about your character, says volumes about you as a man and the things that you stand for. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. And you're going to have to let me know who said those kind words about me, because it's truly appreciated.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to be where you are. Tell us about your career in law enforcement and what brought you up till today.
So I'll start, I guess, with my career, because that started way before my active involvement with the FOP as an elected officer. So it was kind of weird. I started off my childhood, my teenage years working for Publix, like I think probably many people have, probably the best company in the country. And I had a friend who said, why don't you try, kind of similar to you being a police explorer? Somebody said, why don't you try being a police reserve? They call them auxiliary officers now, where you go through a modified academy and then you go out there on the street in uniform and volunteer your time for free. And that's a huge program we have here at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and the men and women that do that are amazing, truly amazing. They work full-time jobs, most of them, and then they suit up in the evenings or their days off and come serve the citizens of Jacksonville. So I did that for a year, and I got addicted. I never thought I'd be a police officer, and I went to the academy, and when I graduated in 1988, I got hired by the Jacksonville Beach Police Department. Worked there for almost 2 years, and came out to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in January of 1990, and spent 27 years there. I obviously worked in all kind of various different departments, and then you can go back to 2015 is when I became involved in the Fraternal Order Police here in Jacksonville. I was elected as their local secretary. And then 2 years later, I ran for president and have been president of our local lodge here ever since.
So what exactly is the FOP? What is the Fraternal Order Police? What role does it fill?
So the Fraternal Order Police here in Florida is a labor organization. We have local lodges, meaning the subordinate lodges like Jacksonville. And then we have our state lodge, our Florida State FOP, and then we have our national lodge. So that's the hierarchy of leadership in our organization. But our organization represents, here in Jacksonville, we represent 4,000 members. About 2,400 of those are still active here at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, either police officers, correctional officers, bailiffs at the courthouse, whatever it may be. But we represent them and their interests, trying to make their working conditions and day-to-day activities better for them and try to maintain what they have. But also it's in our Constitution that, not only are we supposed to work harmoniously with our employer, the Sheriff's Office, but also try to work with the community to make it a better place to live and work.
Awesome. That's wonderful. So basically a labor organization, kind of like a local union.
Yes, sir.
I know I saw a few things on your Facebook post before where you talked about when you guys were in negotiation with contract negotiations and different things for different aspects of it. So that's really cool. My dad was a union man his whole life. He was a union man with the Sheet Metal Workers Association. So I was raised in a union environment and always when my dad was sick for years, had a heart attack and couldn't work, they had a program that basically helped us have money, through all those times when my dad couldn't work. And so I've always thought that was a great thing. So, what is right now would be the main role of the FOP, especially you in the FOP, in today's climate, with the environment that we're in today and everything that's happened in the last year?
Sure. So, I want to say this first, I guess, is the discussion we're having tonight is important. These discussions should be occurring on a daily basis in our community and every community across the country. I think probably our main role right now, we're having to do a lot of education on what police work is, how it happens, why it happens, how it is reviewed or looked at under a microscope when certain things happen, because we can't hide under a rock. Let's all be real, and we've seen what's been happening for the last year. But it's important for us to be advocates for our members who can't speak up, right? I mean, they wear a uniform, they go to work every day, they represent the sheriff's office, and they have to be very careful about what they can and can't say publicly. So it's our job to be out front or work behind the scenes, however it is, to educate people and defend basically our profession, and let people know how it operates.
What is probably one of the most important things that you guys do to help keep morale up in this day and time? Because I have a bad day at work, and there are days when I'm like, you know what, I just don't want to do this again, And I can only imagine, as a police officer in this environment today, and again, not taking any sides. There's always good and bad to everything. There's always highs and lows, whether you're a police officer, whether you're a doctor. The only thing to me that seems strange is that in most professions, when you make a mistake, you're judged by people who are in that profession, right? If a doctor has a malpractice suit and he does something wrong in a surgery, they don't bring in a guy like me and go, hey, look at this operation and tell me what you think you could have done better. Oh, see, yeah, I definitely wouldn't have used that clamp. That's not what I would have done. What the hell do I know, right? But yet, for some reason, we seem to think that people who have never done the job of a police officer or been in a cruiser or have been in that environment, and I know this is an unpopular way to think, that they get to judge what our police officers do on the scene every day. So how do you help keep up the morale of these guys and gals every single day out there on the streets?
Sure. So I'll just kind of circle back to what you said, and it's important for the public to be able to see what's going on and understand what's going on. But as far as our members go, look, our members know that there's going to be highs and lows, right? I mean, that's in any job. I mean, but our job, sometimes there's some really dangerous highs and lows, some really high stress where, like over this last summer, there's police officers, some here in Jacksonville and some that the community didn't even know about, and some all over the state were threatened, via social media posts or whatever it is. So, those things tend to have an effect on morale. But I think what our officers look for mostly is consistency and fairness, during this process of them doing their job. So it's important that we try to, as best we can, to make sure that that whatever it is, whatever the policies are, whatever the discipline is, or anything as it relates to their day-to-day work, is consistent all the way from the lowest member in the department all the way to the highest member in the department. Everybody should be held to that same standard. So that affects morale in our agency a lot. Sometimes we're not successful in making sure that's done because we don't run that agency. Sheriff Williams does, and he sets the policies and that type of parameter. So we try to, the best we can, make sure that those playing fields are level, and that they're all treated fairly. And then, a big thing for us is, and I hate to even say it, but it's a huge part of what we do, because I don't want to really interject politics into this conversation.
Sure. But
politics does affect law enforcement. We can't ignore that portion of it. So a big part of our job is to make sure that the laws that affect police officers don't do it in a negative way. So we're deeply involved in that to protect their rights and that type of thing also.
Well, and to me, one of the things that I think gets not necessarily forgotten, but when I was a police explorer, the first 5 times I rode, I got evaluated by 5 different officers. But those 5 officers, each one of them was so entirely different. They all went to the same training. They all went through the same academy. They all worked for the same agency, but they were, and not necessarily how they perceive the law or anything, but just because they're people. And I think that's the one thing that we sometimes forget, that no matter what you're doing in life, you have to add in that there is a human factor, right?
Sure.
And these guys, and they were 5 really what I thought were really good officers, but they were all different. Some of them really looked at one aspect versus another aspect. Some of them were much broader. Some of them were much more laser focused in on certain things. In my job, I manage storage facilities. I'm a district manager for storage facilities, right? If I have a problem or an issue, I have days to decide how I'm going to handle that, right? Whether it's a disgruntled customer, whether it's somebody who ran into a gate, whether it's this, that, or the other, I have people I can talk to and days to decide what my action or what my answer is going to be, versus having that be an answer or an action that I have to take within seconds, right? So
yeah.
That's one thing that we sometimes fail to realize, is that you have human beings doing something that they have to make split-second decisions. And I've heard before people say, well, if you can't make those decisions, you shouldn't be in the job. Well, that's poppycock. And that's the nicest word I can use for that. Not the word I was thinking.
Yeah.
But, because it really is. And let's don't kid ourselves. Sometimes those decisions are wrong. Sometimes the wrong decisions. Sure. But again, it's made by a being. True.
So, I'll kind of piggyback on that, Coach. And that's the big reason why, the way we're judged when we use force is a landmark, U.S. Supreme Court case, Graham versus Connor, that says, we're judged based on objective reasonableness of our force on what a similar, I guess, basically prudent police officer would say. The big part of it is we can't be judged with the luxury of 20/20 hindsight.
Right.
You have to be judged on what we knew at the time, the stress we were under, all the circumstances you have to take into account of why we made that decision. You don't have the luxury of sitting there Monday morning and reviewing everything, all the video we didn't know existed from different angles or whatever it may be. So that's a good thing for us. And, when you're talking about police officers being human, I'll just throw an example out there. Google Maps. Everybody's put in an address they wanted to go to wherever in Michigan in Google Maps. How many different ways does it take you? It gives you the fastest route. It gives you this route. It gives you that route. It's the same in police work. You could have 3 or 4 different police officers, and they're going to do the job a little bit differently, but they're going to get to the same point. In the end, they're going to get to the same point, and that's because of the human factor. You're never going to take away that human factor. But I think it's important for police officers to remember, and the vast, vast majority of them do, when you're out there dealing with the public or doing what you're doing, is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I think the majority of our police officers do treat people professionally with respect. But I'll agree with you 100%. Let's not kid ourselves and say that police officers don't sometimes do things wrong. They do.
And I don't. And in saying that, when you say the police do things wrong, I'm not saying that they're doing it from a place of being wrong, right?
Sure.
Maybe they made the wrong decision in that split second, as we all could, right? Training be damned. Sometimes maybe not only your emotion, but your adrenaline and all those things can get the best of you, right? So that is the human factor. And sometimes that leads to really bad things, and it can, but you have to look at the majority. You have to look at the overall, I think.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Toya said we had a question a minute ago that I missed. Toya, what was the question? Steve, how can we as members of the community help bridge the gap between the community and police and move forward? Tasha, you're taking the words out of my mouth. Go.
Well, I see it's from Latasha Hobbs. So if you're still listening, Latasha, I owe you a phone call. So that's coming. But I think the important thing is when you look at anything that police officers do on a daily basis, the onus, the burden is always placed on the police officer. And you can't make a difference in this community by yourself. So the question Latasha asked is huge, because I tell people all the time, when you see that police officer riding through your neighborhood, or you see that police officer at Publix, or you see that police officer at a bank, or wherever you see a police officer out there, take the time to stop and talk to that police officer, right? I mean, that police officer may be going call to call to call and not have an opportunity to stop. Or let's be honest, sometimes there's walls up, where the community doesn't trust the police officer, and the police officer feels uneasy in whatever community they ride, from the beaches to the north side to the west side. Help to break those barriers down. As a community, reach out to those police officers that ride in your area. We have the SHADCO meetings. We always have the Citizens Police Academy. We have programs for the kids. Whatever it is, get involved in your community, and get to know those police officers. There's substations in every zone. Get to know those police officers, take the time to talk to them, and encourage other people in your neighborhood to take the time to talk to those police officers. And what that does is, because they should be doing right, we should be doing the same thing on our side. As we're riding the neighborhoods, we should be getting to know the people that live there, the business owners, the kids, everything else that fosters that relationship, and it gets it started. People don't have to look at the police and say, you need to do this. And people don't have to look at the community and say, it's your responsibility. I think everybody needs to, for the old adage, carry your fair share of the weight, and get those conversations started in the communities.
I agree completely. And that was one thing I was going to talk to you about too, is, one of our friends, Kim Varner. I was looking at a story he posted on Facebook the other day about, how he used to get out and play basketball with the kids and, play catch with the kids, throw footballs with them, and that kind of thing. Those are the kind of community policing that bridges that gap,
Sure.
I remember I lived on East Road off of Beach Boulevard for the first 16 years of my life. And even though I can't remember the name now because I'm old and forgetful, at the time I knew who our patrolman was, who came by there all the time. They came by, you'd wave. You knew who they were. They were a part of your community. Fern says Leos are human beings, and it's a fine line between reacting in the moment and the training that they have gone through. Steve, I've seen you post a few times about that you guys have invited members of the community to come out and take. When I went through that little mini academy for the police explorers, it was called Shoot, Don't Shoot. I don't remember. Right. I don't know what it's called now, but basically trying to help you realize how those quick second decisions are made. And some of the community members took you up on that, and some didn't. Talk about that a little bit. So
I did. Sometimes my mouth might overload myself a little bit, but I'm passionate about defending the police officers here in Jacksonville or anywhere, because, like she said, police officers are human too, and no matter how much training you have in the split-second decision in the moment, you would hope that training will kick in, and you would hope you would react correctly. But people don't understand unless they've ever been in those situations. There's very few professions, minus law enforcement or military, who are put in those situations where someone's trying to kill you, someone's trying to hurt you on a daily basis, or they're shooting at you, or you have to shoot at somebody else. And we extended the invitation to the local news media, and to their credit, they came. Somebody from every channel, including the Times-Union, came out there and participated in the discretionary shooting, the shoot, don't shoot, at the police academy here in Jacksonville. The ones that didn't come are the local activist groups, and I'm not even going to mention them by name because that's not what this is about, but they didn't come. They had the invite. They were able to come out there just like everybody else. They received the invite. They can't say they didn't. And they chose not to come. But those are the most vocal groups here in Jacksonville who consistently every day are attacking our police officers over issues that are occurring. And they have failed to take the time to educate themselves on how we do our job, what it's all about. And quite frankly, let's talk open here. There's nothing, if they're willing to engage in an open conversation, we might learn something ourselves, but they're not. And that's part of the problem.
I agree 100%. You can't, like you were saying a minute ago, Monday morning quarterbacking is easy from the comfort of your Monday morning chair,
Sure.
being out there. So, and Tasha is a great example. Tasha Hobbs is a great example because she's someone who has suffered a great tragedy in her life, but is still with law enforcement and gets out there every day and tries to make a difference in her community. And she goes about it, I don't want to say the right way, but she goes about it through the channels that bring more, I guess you'd say, more unity than disunity, right? Than those kind of things. So, and this is pretty basic, but what would you want the average citizen to know about what it's like being a law enforcement officer, not just today in this environment, but just in general? I mean, you were a police officer for years. What would you want them to know?
Well, not in a sympathy type of way.
Absolutely.
But the real life of a police officer, and the real life of a firefighter for that matter, and you can transfer this to emergency room physicians, whatever it is. What they need to understand is, and I say it all the time, it sounds kind of corny, right? But we're people too. We have a family, we have a wife, we have kids. Our kids go to school here. We raise our kids here. We go to church here, whatever it may be. But what they need to realize is part of the reason why law enforcement officers don't work that long, right? I mean, in our profession is because of what we see and do. Imagine being sitting at a lunch table at 11 o'clock eating lunch, and you get a call saying for firefighters or wherever it is. And the next thing you know, you're taking a dead baby from a mother, a sudden infant death syndrome or whatever it may be, and you're taking that baby from the mother, or you go to a car crash where multiple people have been killed or whatever it is. Picture that multiple times a day over a 25-year career. It takes a big toll on police officers. And I think the big thing to drive home is just to remember we're human too. We're people too. We care, about our community. That's why the vast majority of us got into this profession. Sounds corny, right? We all say when we go to get hired, we all say we want to help, but that's true. That's really true. You have to love this job to do this job. If you don't love this job, you're not going to last very long. So I think that's the biggest message to send is that, people just need to realize we come from the same community as you. We care about the community, and we want it to be a great place for everybody to work and live.
Yeah, and I agree. And again, we all know that there has been bad police officers through time, whether it was taking things or taking bribes. Nobody gets into this thing thinking I'm going to take $500 off some chick that I stopped for a traffic ticket. That nobody gets into this for that. I mean, because that's so minuscule, you wouldn't even comprehend that.
Sure.
And some of it might be that once you get into it, you get a little jaded, and I get that as well because I think it was my third ride that I did. My third ride along, I delivered a baby. I remember they make you watch that video because we went to a little mini academy, right? You had to go to a little mini academy. It was 2 nights a week for 6 weeks. Nothing like what the real police go through. But anyway, they show you that video. I thought they just showed it to me to gross us out so we'd never have sex again. Damn near worked, let me tell you. But they show you the birth video. 3 rides in, me and an officer are delivering a baby in the backseat of a car. That was a really super high for me and a really super freak out for me because I was 15 years old. Holy crap, So you get to see all those kind of things that are amazing and then tragic all at the same time, both sides of the spectrum. For me, one of the things I think is huge, again, talking back to what we talked about a few minutes ago, is community policing. What are some of the community policing initiatives that you guys are helping push right now and are trying to move forward in the community?
So, I'll probably be speaking a little bit out of my lane because that's what the sheriff's office does.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily what we do, but you can see in different zones throughout the city, all the officers from the bottom up are taking the time on a daily basis or in the evenings when people get home from work to go out there and engage with the community. And they set these things up in advance to give the community notice. So if they want to participate in them, they can. And I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's an opportunity to, interact and get to know everybody in your area, your respective zone. I can tell you that we, in the FOP over here, as far as on the side of what we do, we try to involve ourselves with worthwhile projects, worthwhile events in the community, other nonprofits, whether we, if there's an event being held, whether we put our cooking crew together, and cook for 300 people and deliver the food. So, the police officers interacting with that community during whatever time period it is, has the food they need or the drinks they need or whatever it is. So we're more of kind of on our side of support for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, which is our members. Those are our members out there doing the job every day and putting in the work. And then our involvement with other nonprofits in the city, where we help them accomplish their mission also and try to, bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community.
Awesome. And just so you know, now that you're personal friends with the chef, anytime you need help with any of that, you're going to come do what I can.
Well, we need to test that one day, so I need to, come over.
Well, Kim can already verify for me, but anytime, we can do that. We're always open for good food, conversation, and
there you go.
Always. But anyway, so one thing is that, I had asked you offline because I know there's some gray areas that you can and can't talk about, and I totally get that, and I hope all of our listeners do as well. We've already had someone throw their hat into the ring to be the next sheriff. Sheriff Williams, who I greatly respect and think is a great sheriff, he is term limited, so he can't run again from what I understand. Is that correct?
That's correct. He cannot run again. So
he is term limited, can't run again. And I know that one of the chiefs, Chief Burton, has thrown her hat into the ring. And I know that you cannot, in your position, step up for anybody or any of that. But tell us, how does the FOP get to the point where they decide who they're going to, I can't even think of the word. You have to give me the word again. I forgot.
Endorse?
Word endorse. Who are they going to endorse for the next sheriff?
There you go. So I'll say two things. One is I don't want anyone to take anything I'm about to say as my opinion one way or the other on any sheriff's candidate. But I will say that let's just say what we'll get out there about Lakeisha Burton first. That's who threw her name in the hat. She's just an amazing person, just an amazing human is what she is. But she has a very diverse and respected career at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and she's now an assistant chief, more than qualified to be sheriff, should she be successful. But on the FOP side, for that race of sheriff, how the FOP does the endorsement is basically it's a straight up vote of the membership. So the active employees who are working, about 2,400 of them, police, corrections, bailiffs, they get to vote, just like a secret ballot vote if you're going to vote in the presidential election.
Right.
We'll do our best between now and the time of the vote to get some of the questions answered that our members are concerned about. What positions they'll take, whoever the people are that declare themselves for running for sheriff. Right. We're 2 years out. There'll probably be many more. So once we feel like the majority of the field is in place that's going to run for sheriff, we'll figure out a way. It could be done many ways. We'll figure out a way to get some questions answered for our members, and then we'll hold a vote. And whoever receives the majority of the vote wins the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police.
Okay, awesome. Now, do they actually come and speak to you guys? Do you guys have events where they can come and speak to the members, or is it all just through questioning?
Sure. So that's one of the things we can do, right? We could either do written questionnaires to the candidates. We could do a Zoom meeting and interview the candidates and ask them questions. Or one that some people seem to like lately is we can do a debate, and awesome. we could put the sheriff's candidates on the stage if they want to come. They may decline. I think that would be a huge mistake if we did that. But all of those ways are various ways that we can get questions answered that are of concern to our members. So how that's going to work right now, it's too early to tell, but I'm sure it'll be one of those things.
Okay. And again, I just saw the news articles. There's been a lot of articles in the last few days that have pushed her, not pushed her, but showing that she had thrown her hat into the ring. I know I've talked to some people in the last couple of weeks who, was hoping maybe she would do that. I know she is really big on community policing. I know she's very big in the community with those kind of things. And, when we were talking before about community policing and things like that, that's the one thing for me that was really different coming back to Jacksonville. When I left Jacksonville, there were just 4 zones, zone 1 through 4. And everybody started off at Bay Street when you started your shift. And you started at Bay Street. The sergeant gave you your instructions. You hit out on the streets. Everybody left. Everybody came in. There wasn't any substations at all, I don't believe. I remember somebody had put a few substations in firehouses one time, and that went over really, really well. But because
we would wake them up from their naps, so we had to stop. So
exactly. So to me, that was one of the different things was, I ride by and I see a sheriff's substation. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. They're actually out in the communities that they're policing. So I thought that was really, really cool. So we're bumping up against like 8:41. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk to us. Again, just to kind of put that human face on these guys and ladies that serve us every single day, that come out here and do what they do. In closing, or in the last few minutes, what would you like to leave with the folks that are listening today? And remember, my last couple of podcasts had between 5,000 and 7,000 views. So right now there's only 9 people listening, maybe 10. And as it goes on through the things, we're on YouTube, we're on different channels for podcasts. More people are going to hear this. What would you like to leave them with?
Sure. And I always say this. I try to every chance I get. Thank you. Thank you to the community here in Jacksonville, because we truly know. I'll tell you, all kind of ways. During the pandemic, during the unrest over the summers, I can tell you that so many of our police officers here in Jacksonville would call me or send me private messages. About everybody to walk up to them and thank them for their service, if they were eating dinner or if they were sitting in a parking lot. And the vast majority of them during this time period said they couldn't pay for a meal. Like they worked 5 days in a row, and they said for 5 days in a row, they couldn't pay for a meal because somebody from our community paid for their meal to thank them for their service here. So I want to thank the community here in Jacksonville, because you can look all over the country, you can look in other cities in Florida, and they don't have the support we do. Granted, we have some people who protest against us here in Jacksonville, but the vast majority of Jacksonville support the good men and women here in law enforcement that are doing their jobs every day and doing it the right way. So thank you.
Awesome. And I don't want to end this without talking about, and you have, I'm sure, more of the exact numbers than I do, but I know this year we have had a much larger number of Florida law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty than this same time last year. I believe it's several times more than what it was. So this is not an easy job. There are people out there who make it very difficult. Talk about those officers who have fallen in the last three and a half months in.
So I'm old and gray, and I may be wrong, but I think I think we're almost at 11 already, compared to last year, which was, I don't even think it was at 5. I think it was less than 5. And what I'll just be honest, and I hope people take this into account. And you get so many people say that's what you signed up for. You knew the risks. When we get attacked, whether it's someone's hands or a weapon, or we get shot, that's not what we signed up for. We didn't sign up to get hit over the head with a baseball bat or get shot. We signed up to make a difference and serve our community. So it's a real concern. And I think it's just a continuation of what we've seen over the last year. But again, like I said, the vast majority of the public here in Jacksonville supports us. And when those unfortunate things happen, mostly in our state, we do have the support, and we feel it. When those bad things happen, People don't realize what a difference that makes. We get the love and the support, and we all huddle around and we take care of ourselves, our families, and our blue family, and the survivors that are left behind. But the touch from the community, you can't put a price tag on that. So we're very fortunate.
I agree. And that's right. And I know a lot of, besides the officers who have lost their lives to those kind of situations, a lot of them have lost their lives to COVID-19 because they put themselves in a position where, they were frontline with that, just like some of the doctors and nurses and firefighters, first responders, so that it's not all just, gunshots or being attacked, but it's those, just that day-to-day interaction that could happen, especially with COVID-19 being a great and terrible example. I really want to say thank you for coming out and being with us tonight, being on the show with us. My goal in all this is just to put a human face on every officer that's out there, because there's so many people that want to say it's police officers or it's firemen or it's this or it's that. But they're, like you said, they're all human. They all have families. They all want to go home to those families. The thing about, there's always a few bad apples. I don't even know how to respond to that, because that, no matter what you do, there's always going to be a screw up, whether it's a police officer, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. When, you're talking about the 99% that are out there trying to do good in this world. And I think they're really, really lucky to have a leader like you in the FOP that can help them and guide them and those kind of things, and with all the things that you do. And I just appreciate you being there for them. I appreciate them being on the streets for us every day. And I appreciate everybody listening in. It's, in this climate that we're in today, there's so much going on out there, but we all have to remember that we're all just human beings trying to make this world a better place.
Sure.
And trying to do that the best way that we know how. So I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate the fact also that you're a great bourbon connoisseur, because if you didn't like bourbon, I don't know if I could have had you on the show. I thought it was really hilarious what you said the one night you and I were chatting offline, that you didn't have a drinking problem, you had a collecting problem. And I
do.
Identified with that.
Yeah, my wife says I've got a buying problem, not a drinking problem, because I like to collect bourbon, and I very rarely. I poured a glass for you tonight in your honor, and it's sipping on it.
Fern says, "Thank you, Steve," from Ken Varner's personal secretary.
I like it.
Ken Varner's good people, and we appreciate him. Like I said, Mark Foxworth, Greg Foxworth, guys I've known pretty much my whole life that have, dedicated their life to public service. And we want to have you back later on in the year, maybe, and talk about some of the strides that we've made, talk about things that are going on, and just hopefully good things, happy things that brought us closer in the community to being where we need to be. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me. And this is a very important discussion, and I look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Guys, I appreciate everybody who came and listened in. Not exactly sure what you thought tonight's episode was all going to be about, but here's the thing is that it's, one of the things that I say all the time is that we're all just walking each other home, in whatever aspect in life you might be doing that. That's how I feel. We're all just walking each other home, whether you're a coach, whether you're a police officer, a fireman, a doctor, whether you're the guy who collects the trash Mondays and Thursdays. You're important. You're important to us. And I appreciate you being here with us and listening, being on the broadcast, being on the podcast. If I can be a help to you and to any of the, any of the rank and file that are out there, the JSO, anytime that you need someone to talk to or a coach, my door is always open. And that's completely, we always do at least one phone call that's free of charge. Anybody who ever wants to talk, if not me, like I was saying earlier, I think we were offline when I was saying I have a coach that I'm friends with who only deals with first responders. He's a firefighter paramedic, and he deals with first responders. I can put you in contact with him. So those of you who are going through anything, we're always here for you. We always want to help, and we appreciate you doing what you do every day. And if nothing else, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We have Miss Kelly Hart coming on our next broadcast. Kelly Hart is from Ocala, Florida. She is an amazing human being, because I just like to put people on here who have big hearts, big souls, and from the day I met her, she welcomed me as a friend, and she does great things for the folks in Ocala and just trying to make life better for everybody. So I appreciate her. We're going to have her on the broadcast in 2 weeks. And if nothing else, we'll see you then. Thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us on the Play Bigger podcast. Coach Curtis is dedicated to helping you grow, thrive, and excel. Playing bigger is more than a tagline, it's a lifestyle. So be sure to tune in every other week for more from the Play Bigger Coach. And check us out online at www.playbigcoach.com. There you can schedule your free 1-hour Play Big strategy session. We look forward to seeing you soon.